everybody, Randy Reviews It here. So it's the end of the year, it's Christmas time, and just like Vanessa Williams and James Reeves said, sometimes we save the best for last. Welcome everybody to the 2023 Handgun Tier List. Alright, if you're not familiar with the tier list, what I like to do on my channel is kind of do a price to performance ratio in scoring manufacturers and how their products compare. So this handgun tier list is going to be focused on striker fired handguns. If a gun performs similarly but costs much more, it's going to get knocked down. If it performs very well but costs cheap, it gets bumped up. So few guns I want to name right off the bat that are not going to be on the tier list. I haven't had a chance to try them, so I'm not going to comment on them. A couple of them I'm hoping to be able to test in 2024. I've been really hard at work, or I shouldn't say hard at work. This is a pretty fun gig. But I've been enjoying testing all these striker fire guns. If you follow my channel, you see I've done a bunch of videos on most of these. What's not going to be on the list, we're not going to have the IWI Masada. I haven't had a chance to use that yet. The Archon Type B, one that I'm really looking forward to trying in 2024, especially with the new versions and updates that they've released. The Mossberg M2C, kind of a budget option that I've heard good things about but haven't gotten to try. So those are off the list already. They're I didn't have any experience. With this too, I want to talk about full guns only. So we're talking about complete guns. I'm not talking about like if you get this frame and this. So there's not really any polymer 80s that are on here. I'm also not talking about like Gucci updated Glocks or anything like that. So there's nothing agency on here. We're not doing any of the Lone Wolf stuff, the Nomad. I think there's like the Dust or Dusk or something along those lines that's out too. So we're not reviewing those. But, sometimes the snow comes down in June. Sometimes the sun goes around the moon. All right, everyone. Enjoy the 2023 Handgun Tier List.
All right, everyone. Let's get into the tier list. So we're going to start off everything here with Beretta. So Beretta offers the APX series. I tested this gun. I wasn't as impressed as I thought I would be because it has a poor trigger. Some of the optics ready was not really optics ready. However, it came in at an amazing price point. It's from a very reputable company. So Beretta is going to get a C. It's a passing grade. I really hope that they do more in the future. They can definitely go higher. One of the things that I hope that they do, with the Grand Power coming out, they have a striker fire gun with a rotating barrel. I hope that Beretta somehow reincorporates the PX4 style rotating barrel into a striker fired gun. I would be all over that. Absolutely. PX4 is probably one of my favorite handguns. This is a striker fired tier list, so it's not boosting them up there. So they're at a solid C. Bull Armory has the Axe. So I've seen a lot of these at the range recently. I think they come in at a really good price point. Bull Armory is a very reputable company as well. It's just not tipping the scales where I would expect it. Like it's kind of played out, it's their version of a Glock. So the Axe comes in C tier as well with Bull Armory. Canik. So the Canik Mede has come out. They've had success with, I believe it's a TFP and SFP or something along those lines. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember the letters. But Canik really came in strong. They came in strong with a lot of things. The Canik Mede that I got came with everything, including the red dot. Very reasonably priced. It's got an amazing trigger. They have a really good track record. They're coming in really amazing. I'm going to put Canik up in the A because I haven't seen enough to discourage me as far as like reliability or anything like that. The price point's up there. If it's comfortable for you, Again, I definitely recommend, especially with handguns, that you go and put your hands on it whenever possible. If it's comfortable for you, this is a definite buy here. I think that they really are hitting their stride. They found their market and they're doing well. CZ, I'm going to be putting at a B here. So CZ, a reputable company. They got a great track record. Again, they got a really good trigger. The people that are CZ fans are diehard. And it's a really good price point. Sometimes you can find like the P10s for like under 300 even. It's a really, really good price point. The reason they're not in A tier is sometimes their optic mounting is a little slow, like they hold that back. And then their grip texture, for me, really left a lot to be desired. So it's just not there. It's so close to being A tier, though. If you have a CZ, don't feel discouraged in any way. It's probably a great handgun, and if it feels good to you, keep shooting it. FN. So FN is going to come down to D tier. Why is that? So the 509 series is priced really, really high for what they are. Think about it. Smith & Wesson has moved away from this terrible hinged trigger, and FN decides we'll put that in our gun and we'll charge $350 more sometimes than a Smith & Wesson. They don't have anything appealing, like it's not like they're doing something that other companies aren't. It's like they're just riding on their name. And if you watch my AR tier list, it's kind of a trend of FN. It's like, hey guys, do you remember when we made the 5.7 for Counter-Strike and the PS90 and the Scar? Yeah, buy our stuff. And we're going to charge ridiculous amounts of money for it. It's not worth it. Like the 509s and their answer or update, this is 510. Let's make everything in 10mm. That's what's going on. That'll be cool. No, just stop doing it. FN's a no-go for me. Like they need to change their pricing really, really bad, or they need to come out with something better. Like, what is it? The Edge, I think, is even hammer. Like it's an internal hammer system. Like that's going to change anything? I don't know. So the FN 509 for me is solid D tier, almost F, depending on how much you paid for it. Glock, we get a passing grade with C. People are going to argue it's the most prolific, it's the most reliable, it's the most shot handgun. It's got hundreds of thousands of rounds, but reliability isn't as big of a concern anymore, I feel like, with a lot of these guns. There's so many of these great manufacturers out here putting out very, very reliable, if not more reliable than Glock guns. So Glock needs to step it up, because just releasing an MR920L and calling it the 49 is not going to cut it. Like they need to do something. Their optics mount is lacking. Their ergonomics are not good. We'll see later. People have outdone them on their own design. And I really hope that they do something new or they change something up. But if Glock was so good, there wouldn't be all these companies that are basically taking, Dremels and hacksaws to these things and making them better. So I'm sorry, Glock, but you can't be charging, $5.99 on these guns and then expecting people to just eat it up. Like some of these Glocks are too expensive for what they are. If you can get a police trade-in, by all means, I think you should. Like used guns are a great deal. The police trade-in Glocks you can get for really cheap. They're just usually in 40 Smith & Wesson, unfortunately. Which isn't popular with a lot of people, and it's not really a pleasant caliber to shoot in a Glock, to be honest. So, Glock C tier, it's a passing grade, but it ain't much more than that. Alright, everyone, next up we have HK. HK we're going to be putting at a B tier. So, if you've been seeing sales lately, you can get some of these HK VP9s for under $500. They have a great trigger. They have arguably the best ergonomics in the game. I would say they're probably more reliable than Glocks at this point. HK tests the hell out of everything. You know, their manufacturing process is amazing. Everything they do is usually gold. The VP9, I think, struggled at first with the original pricing of it, when it was like $789 or $800 for these things. But now they're under that $500 mark. They're offering optics ready versions. You can buy slides to convert your current HK to an optics ready or even a long slide, which is awesome that they would just offer slides like that. There's a company later on that I wish would do that, and they're not doing it. So HK falls in the B tier. Honestly, I think I'd put them in A tier if they did a little bit more, but like the mags are pricey. Those optics ready guns are still coming in kind of expensive. And then the VP9 match for me is a weird miss because it's not really eligible for competition other than open because of how long they've made the mags. And so it's odd. It's really odd what they chose to do with that. I'm not sure why. And then with their optics mount, they don't really offer plates that easily. You don't get them free like the Walther, even though you have to order them. You don't get them, like some of the other guns come with a bunch of plates. HK just basically says, F you to their fans like usual, and says figure it out on your own. Maybe the aftermarket plates are the way to go, but they cost money and it's not really technically optics ready. So that's why they're in B instead of A. Kahr. Kahr is F. I'm sorry, but if you're still carrying a Kahr in 2023, I think you need to put something on your Christmas list, or I hope you get something under the Christmas tree, because they used to be like this budget-friendly option that would kind of work, and some people liked them, but the market's falling out, and us consumers are winning with things, and like there's so many cheap options. I shouldn't say cheap options, but budget options out there that Kahr, just with their reliability and the quality of their gun compared to some of these others, they're falling off. They're falling off hard, and I don't think they're going to recover from this. I think they're just going to sell what they do to their fan base, and then probably fade into the sunset at some point. It's tough reality out there. It's a tough market. So yeah. Ooh, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting over a cold. I'm actually recording this the night before it's released because I tried to delay it as long as I could to get over this RSV. So, all right, everyone. Palmetto State Armory. So this one might shake some people up. I'm putting PSA at A. Not only do I love PSA as a company, I think they're very good for the 2A community. I think they have good values. They intend to do good. And where sometimes, like on the AR tier list, I didn't put them up that high because I didn't think that their ARs were anything to like write home about. The Dagger line, on the other hand, has been awesome. They just released for SHOT Show the Micro Dagger, and it looks amazing. I think they're going to be selling them by the boatloads. The other thing that they've done really well is they offer daggers in nearly every size and combination. So you could get the longer grip, you can get the shorter grip, you can get the longer slide, you can get the shorter slide, and you can piece these all together. So if you buy a few, then you have every single combination of like Glock size there is. And they're coming in at like sometimes $260, $300 on these well done Glock clones that have warranties, good customer service, or decent customer service, I should say. It's not amazing, but it's decent customer service. As an American company, you can get in contact with someone. They're doing a lot of things right. They're offering, threaded barrels, all the different sizes right off the bat. The PSA Dagger for me is a home run. I think they did it well. And I think they put a lot of companies on notice when they put out their quality of gun at their price point with all their options and their company to back it. So PSA, good on you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it right. Ruger. Ruger we're going to put down here in the D category. Ruger has fallen off, I think, a bit. You know, like I remember back in the early 90s, those Ruger handguns were like everywhere. Like everyone was using those. They were popular. I think it was like the P89 it was called. Those were everywhere. Ruger still sells a lot of revolvers and things like that, but their striker fire line, they got the one pocket pistol maybe going for them. I think it's the LCP. But their full-size handguns are really, really lacking. They need to get updated. They need something big. They're just not. They don't have the reliability track record to compete with the other options at that budget price range because they're usually reasonably priced. They're not extra expensive. They're not ultra cheap, but they also don't have the track record that the Caniks do, and the PSA daggers are eating up the market. So Ruger's got to do something. They're not doing enough right now. SAR USA. So I was able to see SAR USA, talk to him quite a bit at the Iraq Veteran 8888. I think that's 4. Shoot. And their guns ran all weekend. They had people shooting suppressed guns. They were running these things. I was really, really impressed. They got great ergonomics. Like it's almost like the VP9 where you can do the side panels and the back to curtail it to your hand, which is really awesome. They've put out some pretty strong testing claims. I'm not sure how valid they are, but all the guns that were at IV8888 ran amazing. They felt good. They shot good. I'm going to be putting them at B tier because with the company and kind of their track record, they're right around that $480 price range. So I could get a VP9 for the same price as the SAR right now, but they don't have that HK track record. And one of the things it looks like they're doing for 2024, I think it just got announced, is they have a duty model. Because one of the things that I haven't liked, and if you go to their catalog or go to their website, is all of their striker-fired guns, except like this SOCOM one with a threaded barrel and all this other kind of green whatever on it, you know, it's like olive drab or something like that, have manual safeties on them yet. Which, for a striker-fired gun, I don't think the manual safety adds anything. I get what they were doing. They're probably doing it for a defense contract like SIG did or something along those lines. But they didn't have an option to have one without a manual safety other than the SOCOM. So they just put out the duty for 2024, it looks like. I'm not sure when it'll be getting released, but at least they're moving in the right direction for that. And I hope to see more. I think that if they came a little bit lower on the pricing, like if they were like right at that 400 range, then they would be an all-day buy for me. So SAR USA impressed me. I thought I was going to be able to heckle on them, you know, like trash on them a bit, but that didn't happen, and I wound up walking away with a better experience than I expected. I was generally wowed by them with how good they actually were. So, SAR USA, check them out if you haven't, especially that new duty that's coming in 2024. I think this pronounced Sky, arguably an F. These are the gun show kings. They come in all the worst colors. They're not great. They're miserable guns. They're not reliable. Like, honestly, if they didn't make them in the cruddy colors, I don't know if they'd even sell a single gun. I'm dunking on you. Don't buy one of these things. Like, even if your wife wants a gun, or your girlfriend, or your mother, or some woman that you know, do not get them this gun. It's going to make them not be a happy gun owner. It's a horrible experience. Who cares if it comes in those colors? Just don't do it. Like, it's an F tier. There's no reason to buy that gun. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Next up is Shadow Systems. So Shadow Systems, if you follow the channel, I've had about 6 of these right now. Oh. And all of them have performed really, really well. There's only a few that I wasn't a huge fan of, mainly the DR920L and the DR920P. So those two guns I wasn't a huge fan of because the DR920P doesn't really have a place, I don't think, for things. Like, maybe it's a duty gun, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of comps and ports. And the DR920L I expected to shoot a little softer, a little more accurate than it did. But overall, Shadow Systems has arguably one of the best frames. It's great texturing, great cuts. I've never had a reliability issue with the Shadow Systems. I know that I've seen people have those. Shadow Systems does have some of the best customer service around, like ridiculously good customer service. Because I remember I had like a Sorry, my headphones cut out there for a second. But Shadow Systems has like the best customer service. I had a barrel where some of the finish was coming off of it, and I said, "Hey, this wearing a little bit quicker." They go, "On the way. We sent you a new barrel." They sent it. They're awesome. They're great, and I would say, without a doubt, Shadow Systems has the best optics mounting platform in the game right now. If you look at how deep the screws go into a Shadow Systems, like how much meat is holding on an optics, you would be amazed. Shadow Systems is doing 99% of things right. Instead of making a more expensive version, they put out the Foundation series, which is reasonably priced. I've even gotten my Elites and Combats for less than $600. Some of them even less than $500 if you look at the right auction or find the right site, anything like that. The only thing that I would say that they could step it up a little bit on is the trigger. But the trigger gets exponentially better after a few thousand rounds. So I have 2 DR920s that have over 3,000 rounds each in them now, and the triggers have gotten a lot better. So Shadow Systems to me is A tier. They do so many things right, and they have the customer service to back it up. So, yeah, it's one of those things you really have to try one if you haven't. I think you'll be shocked. Their grip angle, oh, it's amazing. I love that gun. Take the Glock mags, everything about them is done well. All right, everyone, on to SIG. So this one is kind of a double-edged sword. Because on one hand, we have the P365, which I think is an amazing gun, especially the macro line, or I think it's the macro TAC Ops is my favorite. But the 320, on the other hand, that if you know the timing of this, you've seen another one blew up. I don't know what to say at this point. It's happening so frequently. It's like another week, another SIG that decides to split in half. So, this is a rough one. I think I'm going to give SIG a C tier on this. One, I don't think that they have the customer service that some of these other companies at the top do. Right here. Like, they don't have the customer service to put them up there. I've heard horror stories about how long some of these things take when there's issues with them. Their pricing seems kind of high too. Like, so, hey, they took a Dremel tool and cut some slots and put a shorter barrel in the gun, and now they want an extra $300. And if you watch 1911 Syndicate, I'm a big fan of them. They give honest reviews on things. They shot like, I think it was like the 365 Spectre comp, and they're like, I barely noticed much. And it's coming in at a pretty high price tag. So because of the pricing, because of the customer service, they're not getting that B slot. And because of the 320, they're definitely not getting that B slot. Sorry, Sig, but you got to do more. I think you spread yourself thin on all the different variants you're offering, rather than just offering the slides and kind of the frames themselves. That's where they should be at. Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson, for me, even though I'm not a huge fan of their grip, just doesn't fit my hands, is A tier. These things are tanks. If you watch the Grand Thumb testing, the Smith & Wesson came out number 1. The M&P series, I would probably put them at B, but they changed to a better flat trigger. They knew their audience, wanted something more. They're doing well. 2024, I'm not really looking forward to because they just re-released like the SD9, which I think was kind of a dumb route to go down. But the M&P series, the Shield series, amazing guns, amazing track records. They shoot great. They have a good optics mount. They got that new steel frame too that can compete in things. Really happy with what they're doing right now. They just moved their plant to Tennessee as well, so kudos to them on that. Great, great, great guns. If you have them, enjoy them, shoot them. I'm thinking of just trying some more, even though like the grip feels awkward, just because like I keep hearing so many good things, and I want to love them even more. It's a really good gun. Springfield Armory, A tier. That might stir some people up. So the Springfield Armory being A tier. Why? The Echelon is a lot better gun than people give it credit for. It had a shitty marketing team that gave these things out to everyone, and then the gates got flooded with reviews, and because of that, all of us distrusted like the claims. I mean, if you have so many people telling you something, like, wait, everyone thinks this? I don't know. You get skeptical. I was skeptical, and then I tried an Echelon. The one thing I will say about it is the optics mounting solution they came up with isn't as grandiose as they claim it to be. It's not as good as the Shadow System mounting, but I think the trigger is better on the Echelon. They got the chassis system. I'm looking to see what they come out with in 2024. We've probably seeing the compact one. I know SHOT Show's like 3 weeks away, I think. But my guess would be a compact version of the Springfield Echelon. I mean, I hope they put out like a CS size Prodigy as well. That would be smart if they did it. I called that already, like in the summer. But the Hellcat is also a really, really good gun. So I have a Hellcat Pro that I've been testing. I was actually really happy with the recoil impulse. My girlfriend despised the trigger. I didn't think it was that bad, but the Hellcat Pro and the Hellcat series is surprisingly good. And it usually comes in a lot cheaper than that SIG lineup, and it competes. There's a lot of people that'll swear by those. The Echelon's a good gun. The XDM Elites I've had amazing experiences with. I think Springfield Armory needs to spend less on marketing, or maybe tune that marketing a little bit to less but more trusted influencers on these things. But overall, the guns are remarkably good, and they come in at reasonably priced. So yeah, that's what I think. Stoeger, I'm putting in the B category. So I tested the Stoeger STR9, and at first I was skeptical because it had an odd trigger. It had an odd shaped trigger where it kind of came to like almost a blade in the front. But it was something, once you got used to it and you started using like that knuckle to pull the trigger, it was really, really accurate. It had a good optics mount. It came with 4 optics plates out of the box. And it came with only 1 mag, which I'd knock it a little bit on that. But it came in, I want to say it was like $220 for this. $230, somewhere around there, like before everything. But the STR9 ran. I put a lot of rounds through it. I did a lot of testing with it. I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good gun. The only thing that I wish it came with was a few more mags. And then, holster options might get a little rough. I'm not sure what it fit holster-wise, but if you're looking for like a nightstand gun or something like that, and you're not going to be carrying it necessarily all the time, the Stoeger for the price is really, really good. They did well with it. I'm happy to see more companies throwing their hat into the game kind of thing. And, really happy with the Stoeger. Taurus. Taurus were coming in at D territory. Why? So, the reliability on Taurus has always been questionable. Like the QC just really isn't there. Normally, I would say they'd come up higher, but who are they competing with? They're competing with Stoeger, they're competing with Canik, they're competing with Tisas, they're competing with CZ, they're competing with Beretta. All these like lower priced firearms, even SAR USA you could say, and Ruger and things like that. I would say Ruger has the better reliability as far as track record, and it's an American company that you could probably get on the horn if you have an issue. Ruger has a great warranty. Taurus, on the other hand, good on them for actually announcing a recall. Sig, I'm looking at you. Good on Taurus for announcing they had a recall, but they had a recall. And there's been reliability issues on some of their other guns. It's just, they're not where they need to be as far as a track record to put them at a C, if that makes sense. Tisas, A. That might kick up some issues. But the Tisas comes in at a crazy price point with how good it is. So it also has side panels and rear grip panels that you can customize. It's very comfortable. It's RMR cut out of the box. You can put, a Holosun 507C and RMR, any of those things right on it, right out of the box. You can buy plates if you need to switch to a different platform, like an RMR to Shield or whatever it is. Oh, excuse me. But you also have fiber optic front sights on it, and the craziest trigger in the game just about. It's better than a Zev. I've put it in, I think it's like 3 1/4 or 3.5 pounds. It's in between there. It's absurd. Like, I just took my girlfriend to the range today. She couldn't believe how light that trigger and how easy it is to pull. There's almost no wall. Like, you just go through it. It's a great gun. It's got a good recoil impulse. It's been reliable. It takes P226 mags, which it doesn't have as high a capacity as some of the others, but those are a pretty common mag. And if, apocalyptic world happens, you're going to find some mags for this. It comes with its own holster, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that. There's probably not a huge aftermarket yet. There's some companies that I know that are making holsters for them, though. So the Tisas, check them out. Seriously. They're stomping it in the 1911 world. Their Striker Fire, their Gen 3, the PX9, is stomping it in the Striker Fire world. They're putting a lot of people on notice. It's right under 300, and it comes with mags. It comes with the mag well. It's optics ready. It's got great iron sights already. An amazing trigger. Good ergonomics. It'll blow you away, honestly. Like, you'll be shocked how much you like a Tisas PX9 after shooting it. All right, now we have the Walther coming in at A. Surprising to my longtime fans, hey, this guy knocked a Walther. He got rid of, 3 PDPs. Yes, I did. The recoil impulse isn't the best, but I am very nitpicky about it. Walther has the best trigger in the game, hands down. They got the PDP Pro trigger now. That's even killing it even more. They got good grip texture. They got pretty good optics mounting system. Though the optic sits low, it sits in there. They do send you a free plate. You have to wait for a plate, but there's a lot of options out there. There's a ton of holsters out there. If you had a PPQ M2, I believe, you can put your mags into the compact version, so you got that mag crossover there, which I didn't mention. HK, by the way, takes P30 mags if you're one of those fans and you have a bunch of those laying around. So just a shout out to them on that. I want to keep things fair. But Walther is doing a really good job, and I think the gun to look out for is the PDP-F. So what they did is they put out the PDP, and people bought it. And then some people complained about how big the grip was and how the recoil impulse was. And what did they do after that? They put out the PDP-F. It's got a better recoil system, a slimmer grip that if you're someone like me that has a very meaty palm, even though I got large overall hands, most of my hand is palm. So I have to put small back straps on most of my guns because there's so much meat back there that it pushes it around weird or something like that. Walther PDP-F has a great grip on it, an amazing grip angle. They got a good trigger. You can put the bigger slides on the frames and things like that. I'd like to see Walther come out with a PDP-F, but make it like the full length grip, like the same as the regular PDP full length grip. That sort of thing. I definitely think that in 2024 you're going to start seeing more PDP options with the Pro trigger, because right now it's only on one with a threaded barrel, or you have to buy the Pro trigger separately. But I think that's what they're going to do in 2024 is expand that PDP-F line and then also put Pro triggers in things, which would be smart for them, because I'm looking at grabbing a PDP-F after, feeling one and testing it. I think it's a great gun. I think the PDP is a great gun. The only thing that I miss, paddle mag release. On my PPQ M1, like paddle mag release is where it's at. I hope they get back to it. I doubt they will, because the American market is miles behind. Shout out to HK for knowing better than the common FUD that paddle mag release is supreme. All right, and last but not least, we have Zev. Zev coming in at C. But Randy, you love the Zev grip. Yes, I love the grip. But their full guns are so ridiculously overpriced for what they are. They're at the C. Not only that, but as a company, if you bought the Zev grip or the Zev 2.0, the new OZ9 V2, if you will, if you bought that grip, you can't buy the slides yet. It's been months, tons of months on this thing, and you can't buy the different slides that they were offering, the different lengths. Like they offer like a 17 length slide, but you have to buy the whole gun. So all the original Zev owners are kind of getting pissed on by the company. And not only that, but they have the gall to release these limited edition versions and then just charge ridiculous prices for it. Like Christian Craighead, I'm sure, is an amazing dude. He did some amazing things. He's got an amazing track record. He's an amazing shooter. But they put out the Craighead model and then sold it and charged, I think it was like probably close to $2,500 or something like that for the gun, which is absurd for that gun. And now they have Warm Fuzzy, which I don't even really know who that is. I don't know what he's done or anything like that. But it's basically just a hyper-comp and FDE that they're charging crazy prices for and doing that whole hype beast marketing strategy bullshit. I'm not a fan of the way that they market. I think their frame is great. I don't think that their whole guns are even close to worth it. Like, you're looking at, $1,200 to $1,400 for some of their guns. even up to 1800 for like the hyper comps and things like that. You can't justify that. Like, they don't have as good of an optics mount as Shadow Systems. Sure, they have a good frame. The trigger on the Tisas is better. Trigger on the Walther's better. They got great machining. The gun feels good. They put out an aluminum grip that I just bought because maybe I'm an idiot. But I feel like Zev is really choking out their customers instead of offering the slides like they said, instead of offering these different options, and they're just too high priced for what they are. So that's where we're at with the tier list.
If you've gotten this far in the video, if you sat through the whole thing, I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, any of those things. If you think I got something wrong, hit me up in the comments. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't see something that I should have. If there's guns that you'd like to see on the 2024 tier list, definitely suggest those. So thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for a great 2023. I hope you all have a good holiday. Stay safe and enjoy yourselves. Take care, everyone.